Welcome everyone. And it's time to break out another manual from the traditional education program, which is ending in June this month, but hopefully there'll be an equivalent program or series of exercises in the new Pathways program. So at the last meeting, you might recall that I did an educational called Going Beyond the Club. In tonight's meeting, I'm going to present a Moments of Truth. And that is all about first impressions, or not just first impressions, but impressions that members and guests have of our club at various points through their Toastmasters experience. So Toastmasters defines Moments of Truth as an episode where a guest or a member comes into contact with any aspect of the Toastmasters experience and forms an impression of a club's quality and service. And there's 6 key moments of truth that we look at, and this exercise is something that Toastmasters recommend we carry out once a year. So the first is first impressions, and that's all to do with guests that come into our club. Are they warmly received? What's their experience? Then we move on to when a guest becomes a member. So are they assigned a mentor? Are they supported in their educational journey when they first join? Then we move on to standards that are related to the experience in a meeting. So are meetings well planned, prepared? Are they a good variety? Are they interesting? And then finally, we move on to membership strength. So do we always have enough members to fill meeting roles? And recognition. So that's recognition of the individual member and also the club within the wider Toastmasters area. Now, for each of these moments of truth, there are a number of standards. And before tonight's meeting, I sent out a survey and requested response from our members. Now, there were a number of questions, and our members were asked for each particular standard or question to reply whether we as a club always achieve it, whether we sometimes achieve it, whether we usually achieve it, whether we occasionally achieve it, or whether we never achieve that standard at all. And then there's a rating of between 1 and 5. So if we always achieve a particular standard, that gets a rating of 5. If we never achieve it, it gets a rating of 1. Now, I color-coded everyone's responses. So the more green something is, the stronger a member agrees that we achieve that particular quality or question, sorry, I should say. So all the dark greens are 5s, all the reds, and there's only 2, are 1s. And then those get collated, well, I collated those, and we have an average. So we're going to go through this in a little bit more detail. So I'm going to go through each moment of truth. We're going to have a look and see which areas we need to look at as members of Croydon Communicators to improve in the future. And then at the end of the presentation, I'm going to split you all into 3 separate groups into breakout rooms in Zoom, and we're going to discuss them in our groups, and then we're going to provide recommendations, and those recommendations are then going to be passed on to our incoming committee members to try and action in the coming year. So let's have a look at our first moment of truth, which is first impressions. And as you can see, it's pretty much green across the board. So a lot of our members agree that we're doing well in all respects, and it's really great to see that guests, when they attend our meetings, are warmly received and they have a positive experience. So in terms of a rating 1 to 5, how did we do for this particular moment of truth? So our average rating was 4.6, which on a scale of 1 to 5 is excellent. So there's nothing of concern in this particular moment of truth. So just do what we do, welcome our guests warmly, explain the benefits of Toastmasters, and carry on as we are. Now, the second moment of truth, membership orientation, and this is all to do with the experience of a brand new member when they join our club. Are they assigned a mentor? Is the mentor helpful to them? Do they know about our educational program, their learning needs? Do we understand what they are? Do we help them fulfill assignments and help them on their Toastmasters path? Now, as you can see, there is a little bit of green, there's a bit of yellow, so neutral responses. There's quite a lot of red and orange in there. Now, we did okay as an average score, so 3.8. So Toastmasters recommend that anything with a score below 3 or lower is something that we need to focus on. But I have picked out 3 areas that I think we should look at anyway, because we can be a lot better. Just the asterisks I put in, we will be relaunching the mentoring program this year, bigger and better. So hopefully that will resolve a couple of the red ticks. The other three questions we'll be reviewing later in the session. So moving on to our third moment of truth, and this is to do with social events, enjoyable meetings, and so on. And as you can see, it's pretty much green. And we did really well. So a good score there. Moving on to program planning, fourth moment of truth, and you can see there's one clear area that stands out, and that's meetings beginning and ending on time. And I don't know if we're ever going to solve this problem, and I'm surprised that's not read throughout, because I don't think we ever start on time and we hardly ever finish on time. So that's one thing that we're going to take out of this particular moment of truth. But having said that, our total score is still very good. Just dragged down a little bit. So if we can improve that, we're going to try. Okay, on to the fifth moment of truth, all about membership strength. And it's green for the first few questions, and then not so good for the last two, which I think brings our average down. So still respectable, but there's two areas. So Toastmasters sponsoring new members recognized. Now what this means is each time a Toastmaster brings a guest to our club or introduces someone, brings them on, and they join, we should be recognizing Toastmasters that introduce more members to our club, and maybe also rewarding them. And that's something that we're not really good at. So again, the more members that we attract to the club, the richer our club becomes. So we should recognize members who help enrich our club. And regular membership building programs. Now, historically, we've been very good. We win quite a lot of the district incentives in terms of membership, and so 3 times in a year we have a target of signing up X number of members, and there's a recognition. So there's a Smedley Award, there's Talk Up Toastmasters, and there's Beat the Clock. And we're usually good about letting our members know that we're now in a period of membership building, and how do we go about doing that. And the last year we've kind of lost our way a little bit, but this is something for us to work on in the next year. Final moment of truth, achievement recognition. So this is achievements should be recognized and also celebrated. So personal and club achievements. And for the whole, we do. The one red blot on this particular moment of truth is progress charts being displayed and maintained. And I'll hold my hands up. That's my responsibility as VP of Education for letting the side down on that one. But having said that, overall, we're doing pretty well on this moment of truth. So again, a very respectable 4.2. So let's see if I can get this to work. You got to find a way, say what you want to say. Okay, so points for singing the artist, points for the decade. Put it in the chat. It's just a bit of fun. We're not going to do a music quiz again this time, but what we are going to do is go into separate breakout rooms now. So group 1 is going to talk about the learning needs assessed. So this is when members come in. Do we actually know why they joined, what they want to get out of Toastmasters, and how do we help them? And also they're going to be talking about members with disabilities. How can we better accommodate them at our club? And if they've got time, then also they should have a think about how we can start meetings on time and end on time. Group number 2 is going to be discussing the progress charts, how they can be maintained, how they can be published, maybe how they can be communicated to members. Also about the education system and the recognition system. How can we make members more aware of that? And also, if they've got time, how do we start and end meetings on time? And group 3 is going to be talking about sponsoring. So how do we recognize those members of our club that are so good at bringing in new people and getting them to join our club, and how should they be rewarded? Should they be rewarded? And also about membership building. So I'm going to put you into your respective groups. I'll just tell you which groups are going to go in so that you can prepare yourselves. So group 1 is going to be Paul and Lorene. Group 2, Amanat, Troy and Susan. And group 3, Gina, Lukman and Florence. And what I will do is I will pop into each of your 3 groups and make sure if you need any help, got any questions, but suggest one of you maybe leads the conversation and captures any feedback, and any feedback that you do have and recommendations, will then obviously we'll collate that, pass that on to the committee, and then hopefully you also recommend someone to take action. So it can be a committee member. So say, for example, the membership building program naturally sits in the remit of our VP of membership. But if there are other members in the club that you think should step in and could help out in certain areas, please put those down in your suggestions. So any suggestions welcome, all and every suggestion welcome. So I'm just going to launch the breakout rooms. So I've never done this before, so this should be interesting. Okay, so accept your invitations, and we'll see you back here in about 10 minutes.